We're doing this. Is it the last days of normal? That might have ended a long time ago, but we're here to talk about it all. It is the last Friday before, well, you know. I'm Ken Knapsack. That's Alden Diaz. This is Anytime with Ken and Alden. Hi, buddy.
Hey, man. Oh, wait, sorry. I forgot. There's a special intro that I meant to do.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
In honor of the mastermind, David Lynch himself.
Oh, yeah.
That is Ken Knapsack, and I am Alden Diaz. And if you can believe it, it is Anytime once again. Live from sunny Burbank and, well, not so sunny Florida.
That's beautiful. It's actually overcast today. You should try out for that little skit show they have in New York on Saturdays.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. That's so interesting. I wonder if they would lean into that. They don't normally do a lot of like, this person died, so let's do something with them type stuff. I think
they've got to assume that their general audience has no idea who he is, which is tragic on a lot of levels. And that's not a swipe at SNL. That's just a kind of where we are. I think in the 70s, they absolutely would have done that.
Right. And what's sad is that that with the crop of talent that is on SNL right now, like Colin Jost, talked about how much he loved him, and Sarah Sherman, like all these people, they probably would love to, and the producers have to be the ones that are like, we can't. Like, we can't.
That's fair. I find that fair. I can't say words. I find fair.
I find fair. Look, man,
you're fair.
If you can say anything with the amount of just shit that's going on right now, especially where you are, it's impressive. If you can barely string a thought together, that's gonna have to do.
That's gonna be it. It's been a lot. I mean, like, you are like literally still in a fire situation, right? Like, these are not over. Yeah, they're not over at all. The Eaton fire, as I think last I checked on Watch Duty, like 65% contained. I think a lot of people are getting back to their homes, but repopulation's not easy. Both areas, water off, power off, that kind of thing. I don't know the updates, which is telling, because it's that weird thing where things start to get back to normal, especially if you weren't affected as directly. Like I was not directly affected, other than people I know losing their houses, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's but winds are coming. Strong winds are coming. Winter is coming. More Santa Ana's next week, so we'll see.
I'm just hoping that this can, that you guys can get some sort of reprieve. I mean, that's with everything, right? I guess it's just every time there's a disaster, it just feels like our responses are never what we want them to be, and blah blah. Because of DEI, of course.
Oh yeah. No, that's all been fascinating. I have thoughts. They're more in line with Bill Burr on, but I don't know. There's always after action reports. That was my line of work for a long time.
Yeah,
humans are going to make mistakes, things that you would think would, like, hey, no one checked the sparky wire up there. No one checked that. Bob did it. Ted did it. Oh, that's normal. That doesn't discount the reason for all of this. A climate collapse.
Of course, the climate collapse that no one seems to want to acknowledge. It's been a frustrating just cycle there. But you're right. You shouted out Bill Burr. I sent you that clip from Jimmy Kimmel, which of course is on ABC. I'm sure they were thrilled to have Bill connecting climate crisis to insurance to Luigi and yelling "Free Luigi" on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Like,
he's on one. Burr's on one. Anytime should just have we had the Ben Affleck segment for. We should just have tracking the soul of Bill Burr. Which side will he eventually land on?
Bill Burr alignment chart.
Because he's still troublesome in a lot of ways. I want to be clear about that. But which is part of my frustration, because he could be an ally. If he could be turned, he'll be a great ally.
He could be turned positively.
Yeah.
That's great. Very excited to see what comes of all of this year. I mean, it's still January. It's still the beginning of the year, technically. And so far, I would say the year has not been particularly funny and humorous, but there are spots like him. There are spots like you, where you did your show after our last episode. You went and did your show. I know you touched on it a little bit on Force Center on blathering and stuff, but you went up there, you did it. because you're a hero. No, because
I could be a hero. No, it was weird. Yeah, I had a big headlining show at Flappers Friday night, January 10th. They had canceled the 3 previous nights. I'll be honest, I didn't want to come back. I didn't want to. I guess I could have said no, but it's one of those situations. You ever get a phone call where you're like, I am not supposed to say no here. It would be bad if I said no. But it ended up, I want to say this, it ended up being a great time. People heal or deal with things in their own way, and a silly little comedy show. We were sold out, and the vibe was great. The comics were great, and I got called back the next night to host Jay Leno's show, which was great. Well, interesting. But anyways, one of the house managers came up to me. He was like, I just want to tell you, your show last night was the best of the night in terms of just the audience and how warm it was and how fun it was. The rest of every other show in here was kind of dead and stoic, and no one really wanted to be there. You guys had a wonderful warm time and chose the words like warm, like joy, and that really was a reminder of, again, not me as a comic or you and I doing shows and entertainers in times of need, but just like we all process in different ways, and that should be allowed.
Yeah, and it's also just like reality in terms of business and in terms of schedules. Like for many people, like we have some flexibility here because this is a really small channel, this is a really small show. But we have lots of friends where it's like, if we don't put out this review or this analysis or whatever, that is a bill that needs to be paid, like for our home. Like so, it's like, our friends at Star Wars Explained, or even you guys on Force Center. It's like, that's not your full-time job for the 3 of you, but it is a job for the 3 of you. And it needs to roll on. I saw this with like from every level, like even like James Gunn, he had his season finale of the first DC Universe show, Creature Commandos, and he was like, I'm really proud of this finale and I love it, but like, it's a horrible day for it to come out. Like I think this is reality.
I think we've gotten, and correct me if I'm off base here, I think we've gotten, because everything's happening all the time and it never stops. There's definitely days where I think it stops. And we even last week, you and I didn't promote that we're doing a show. We just kind of let's go live and figure it out. I think that's appropriate. Force Center delays, promotion, all that kind of stuff. We all get it. But there's a time when maybe when the disasters are regional or not even regional. That's not right. Because, again, if there's a giant tragic active shooter situation, I think we all know it's and this was equally as tragic in a lot of ways, to be clear. But like, that feeling of like we all kind of see a James Gunn post and we go, we get it. Like it doesn't take away. We don't think he's stomping on this disaster. Where in the past, I think there was a little bit of like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, and I think not to like split hairs about what is.
No, I think you should.
But I will attempt to not to do the thing I'm about to do. But it's I think that the climate collapse has a air of like sad multi-generational inevitability and a certain air of like we are all suffering and the planet is suffering and we all acknowledge like who the enemy is, like whereas like something like a mass murder or shooting scenario or something like that, it feels almost like way more pointed and evil and like forces you to reflect differently, whereas like the fires or hurricanes or anything, there's sort of like a we need to engage in things or else the world, because the world is the problem, and like it just psychologically I feel is different. Somebody who knows more about trauma response could probably articulate it, but
I think you did a good job. I actually think you're touching on what I would say is the core of it. Bigger, fancier words. Maybe someone with a thing on their wall, doctorate, can say it, but like you hit it. You hit it. And there's a little bit of that. I love Dan at the food in my beard. I feel like last time Trump was in office, I had to think, do I post content today? Like once a week. And it's
welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to that mode.
I do want to acknowledge, we titled this episode "The Last Days of Normal." That's kind of tongue-in-cheek, and I'm not just talking about administrations or Biden or this. I'm talking about just life. We left normal a long time ago, but there is this ominous sense of foreboding doom coming our way. I have this up here. Look at us fancy, sharing screens and whatnot. I'm finally officially a subscriber to Ground News, and I wish we had an affiliate code. This one I got through Trey Crowder, a great comic and a political commentator. But I just love this headline, man. Trump inauguration to be moved indoors due to freezing temperatures. And this doesn't resonate at all with anyone in that administration or who voted for him, or that's wonderful deniability factors, inside the White House. But my folks don't see this and just think, and again, it's a whole big complicated, we sometimes deal in generalities here and just kind of like here, hey, we're talking about different issues. I'm not a climate scientist, but the only climate scientist I know left climate science because we're so fucked. He said, I'm just going to do comedy until we die. That tells me something. But I saw this headline today. I'm just like, that doesn't, and I don't know what we could do about that other than freeze and burn to death. And
this makes me laugh on a couple levels. One has already been touched on here in the chat, which is, Cameron Stewart comments here. He's going to be so pissed because that means he's proud. He doesn't get any adulation. Like Carrie Underwood's bootlicking ass performance won't be broadcast with the full grandeur that I'm sure she wanted. And we'll talk about her a little bit today because I got a list of people to make fun of today.
Love it.
But the other thing about this, and this is the me being a little stinker. It's like, I find it interesting. Little stinker. I find it interesting that they are moving it indoors after reports came out of Zuckerberg, Bezos, and Musk all sitting together, and that being met with memes of like, all it will take is one great marksman.
Oh my God.
Change the world. Like they're all going to sit together just like smugly and everything. And people don't think that like there's going to be like, I'm not saying there's going to be the counter offensive version of last like of J6. And I don't think it's going to be that. First of all, the Kamala voters, they don't have the I don't want to say the spine because it's not a spine issue. They don't have the corrosion in their core. I think to do it. I don't think they have it in them in that way.
Yeah, I agree.
But the other thing is just like, after Luigi, we're living in this constant state of like the rules did change a little bit. And we saw Elon with his child that he's never has around the day after it happened. So it's like, it would not surprise me if they were like, hey, reports got out about the seating chart.
Yeah.
You think maybe we should, and then say it's because of cold?
So what you're saying, and the cold is, it's and here's the thing too, it's always cold during that time, but like it's record temperatures. So putting that on the shelf for a second, what you're describing is the let's move WrestleMania 7 from the LA Coliseum to the LA Sports Arena for security reasons, but really it was they couldn't sell out tickets. So you're reversing that.
For sure.
Okay. For sure. I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love that. I love that. Yeah. That's it. I don't know where to go from here today, buddy. It's just one of those
it's a vibes show.
It's a vibes show, man.
But it's okay because I did some light producing. And so we have some things to bounce around to.
I love it. You're great.
I keep track of our personal conversations, and without consulting Ken, I say, this is for air, this is for air, this is for air. Sometimes you say things are for air, and then you might forget because you're a busy man. I don't forget.
It's not that I don't forget. I wrote some notes down today. You want to see them?
Oh, sure. What do we got there?
Blank. It's blank.
Oh, it's blank? Oh, okay.
I got these out to write notes down.
Well, that's something. That's something. Light producing is going on Molly's resume. Everything. So I did the work so Ken didn't have to. But this is actually a Ken thing that I'm about to bring up. This is something that Ken said. I'm going to talk about this on the show.
Okay.
I wrote down Ken needs to rant about LinkedIn. Because you were angry about LinkedIn earlier this week. A site which I should just say right now, my stance on LinkedIn is LinkedIn fucking sucks.
Yeah, and this, I have so many feet in different worlds. I did do a rant on this in the Blathering last night, but I was tepid. This is a great place for it. Look, I had a very sudden switch in employment last Friday, very sudden switch, and it's left me in a big giant lurch. And my last couple of years have been a big giant lurch. I'm doing some things to change that long term, but it doesn't help now. So, all right, I'm looking for work. Great, got it. We all look for work sometimes, and I might have to do some things I don't want to do. Awesome. Great. All these job services sites. It's a racket. It's criminal. It's ridiculous. LinkedIn is just nothing but AI posts and spam posts. You apply for one job or you click on one, your email inbox is then 16, do you want this job? And you click on the job and it's scam. It's a scammy spam. It's like you can't find the job that is there, and it's just a whole mess, and it's probably data collecting on a level that TikTok would be jealous of. It's but then so to move past that, it's like, all right, let me sign up for their premium service. It used to be $39.99 a month, which was a problem. It's $79.99 now to get a premium service on LinkedIn to get to the actual jobs that might keep you afloat. I don't have that right now. The $80 I have needs to go to food if I'm lucky, right? You know, and I'm in a fortunate situation. I have a partner. I have a Chihuahua that's not quite frankly keeping up her end of the bargain, but it's criminal. And then you go to I went to another site, Upwork, calling out Upwork, freelance, especially in the industry. Signed up, immediately saw a job. Oh, I could do that. That could help. To apply for it, I had to buy Connects, this fictional. You get 100 tokens to connect with the job and apply for it. So then I applied for it. And then I needed to buy 10 more Connects to move it to the top of the pile.
Yeah.
Move it. And it's, I signed up for another website. I hire broadcasting or something like that. And it got some jobs. Like, okay, cool. Look at this. I can't even see the jobs, Alden. I click on it. I have to sign up for a premium membership. Flexjobs.com, the leader in remote job discovery.
Garbage.
You have to pay to even get to it. And I did last time I was looking for garbage.
And sometimes you get in and it'll say like, we received your application, but really they are then going to ping it out to potential like week-long contracts, like a month-long contract. Like it is a fucking scam. And the whole, like, whatever you described about like these, like, you need these connects, these tokens, whatever, they're treating your livelihood like you're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, if you just acquire the stones, then you can speak to the innkeep who can. What the fuck is happening?
What's happening here? And I'm all about moving forward. I don't want to get stuck in the past. I love new technology, but 50 cents in a newspaper and the classified ads, that was it. And maybe I don't know. I'm going to go look for a newspaper today. I'm heading to meet a buddy to see if he's got anything for me. And maybe that's what I do. I don't know, but it's frustrating. And I'm someone in an okay position. I got some money coming in, but I don't know what to do, and I'm panicked. And this is where we're at. This is the disruption equals destruction thing. This is the free market is actually just a way to suppress. This is wealth gap problems. This is everything all that we talk about. And I know I'm not new to this. I've heard this for years. And people in my life have been trying to apply to get jobs for months and years. And it takes this and it takes that and it takes 13. And then I applied for a job that I actually hope I get. It sounds fun. It is a simple job that wouldn't help, but I haven't heard back.
Yeah,
I haven't heard. I don't know what to do, and this is fucking ridiculous that these companies, who could go after? No one's going to go after them now. No one's going to go after them now. They've got us over a barrel, and this is where I grab you, I grab Jared, I grab Tully, I grab all of us, and Viva la Revolution.
Look, I'm just saying, Dorina's probably been working on the guillotines. She could start up a hex or something. Like it is time. Osvetnik beat me to this joke, which is, Ken, you should just walk in the door of a production company, shake the manager's hand, hand him your resume. That's how you get a job, Sonny.
But
it's hilarious.
If I could find them, you know what I mean?
Because nowadays production companies is just the worst guy in his his add-on to his house or his garage or the desk in his living room and a Slack channel. Like that's the production company now. So it's again, we in the same way we killed the middle movie, we have killed the middle operation, where it's like you're either a mega corporate studio or it's like a guy publishing bullshit ass clickbait and offering you $15 an article. Like it's like. So it's it's Oh, Maddie did pitch this to me. Time to start AnyFans.
Look, let me tell you something. If I knew right now that my feet were to get me money, I'd do it. I just don't think. I don't think so. I don't think it would work.
I think about it sometimes. Yeah,
I don't care. Sometimes. I don't
care. I have what I would describe as normal feet. If anybody has an in at the feet market, no judgment.
I don't know.
You could DM us
Kingsport Cal said you have to look them in the eye, and there is some truth to that.
It's true.
There's some truth to that.
It's true. There's so much to do a sketch where it's like you mix up classic job advice with like classic like prison advice. Like walk in there with your resume, find the biggest guy and stab him. Oh no, wait, I'm reading off the wrong advice cards here.
Yeah,
because it just they both sound like so like just like classically goofy. Except the prison one might still be true. I don't know, but it's awful. I mean, I don't have to tell you that it's awful. And basically, you doing this rant was so you can let it out, and for me to say, I hear you. It's awful because I'm 29. It has been bad pretty much my entire working life, but it has plummeted from bad to atrocious very, very sharply over the last few years. Like 2022 was when I switched from being full-time at iHeart to, gigging and just doing different things and whatever. Gigging. And it's fucking awful. It's and let me tell you, when I got into iHeartRadio, LinkedIn did not help. They wanted us all after my broadcast program to like make these LinkedIn profiles and have all this robust stuff. Mine happened because I knew an engineer who physically took my resume and slid it out from the bottom and placed it on top and said, "I like this kid. I know him." That was it.
Did you pay for Connects? You should have paid him for Connects.
I did not pay for Connects. I think I've bought him one beer in the entire time I know.
There you go, but that's the Connect. Look, I'm venting to a wide, giant ocean of people who understand. It's just frustrating, and I'm getting to the point where I have to blow up a lot of what I do entertainment-wise to maybe get back up on my feet. Fine, like I said, I'm not above work. It's just beyond frustrating anyway. So bear with us for the future of Anytime in the next couple months.
Look, we designed this show to be able to happen in any slot at any day, and then
anytime,
because we're creatures of habit, we allowed it to just be Fridays. But if Anytime starts bouncing around, you'll still be there. I believe
we could be overnights. We could be truly Art Bell AM coast to coast. It's frustrating. And the other frustration, I know I've said where I worked before, and I want to be careful because they still might get me some work, which I'm hoping it's just I'm no longer on staff. So I've got to be very careful saying it, but like their workflow is so messed up that they need me, but they cut me, and I'm getting these messages of like, sorry, I get back to you. We're so busy and swamped. It's like, well, what if you had a staff writer that you had? And that's just kind of what's going on in the workforce. Anyways, I don't want to get too personal. Alden, how are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. We'll segue out of that with a nice little, just a simple Alden, I dig your frames. Well, let me tell you something. Man. Thank you so much. All of my glasses come from Zenni Optical. You upload your prescriptions in there, and you can choose all your frames, and they are so cheap. Like sometimes, like I don't know if you're a glasses wearer or if
I have them at night. Yeah,
I know you have them. Yeah.
They
can be so expensive, man. Like you'll go in to get glasses, and you'll end up spending like hundreds of dollars on like a couple frames. But I got 4 or 5 for like $150 earlier this year. Like they are cheap. So yeah,
finally,
and
something
sponsor. Look, if anything that I like, I am happy to shill. I don't like happy to. Happy to. I would love it if Zenni came on board. I would love it if the Miller's Ale House came on board. I would love it if what else do I always like and chill? The Target brand Goodfellow that they have in Target. Like all my black sweaters and
this shirt. What do you think this shirt is?
We're both wearing Goodfellow.
I'm a Goodfellow, man. And before that, what was the brand before that? Target had a brand before that. It was like Minerva. It was some M word. Mush shirty or something like that. I'm not gonna work here anymore. I'm all about that, man.
Roosevelt's won't sponsor Anytime because we're not Disney adults. They're busy sponsoring people that walk around the park recording everything they do, unfortunately.
Yeah. I would look, for years people have said this. Ken, why doesn't 7-Eleven sponsor you? You make it happen. I don't know how to do that. I guess I should just I should become a 7-Eleven influencer more directly, but that takes a lot of time to edit and post content that I don't have because I'm trying to scramble to survive. Because I can only afford to eat at 7-Eleven. But I would sell out to 7-Eleven. I'd be the 7-Eleven. Hi, I'm 7-Eleven dude. You want to eat this meat on a stick? Let me show you how. I'd do it.
I also think
someone write corporate.
I also think there's something like tonally off about this, and I'll explain what I mean. I think when you look at an influencer, and you and I both know many of them, we
sorry, Kingsburg Cal. Go to 7-Eleven, look them in the eye. Cal's not wrong.
And stab the biggest guy and take his sandwich. The thing about it is that when you go, correct me if I'm wrong, when you go to 7-Eleven, that is a deeply intimate Ken Napzok experience. And like, I would imagine you're not going in a blazer and slacks. Like, you're probably going in I would say maybe a more vulnerable state.
Yes.
Yes. I don't want to be seen state. And I fear that trying to polish your 7-Eleven experience up for air would take some of the love and joy out of it.
It could be. I'm working on a Joe Starr's request. I'm working on a 7-Eleven bit for my stand-up, but that's a little different. But no, you're absolutely right. It's like when I stopped streaming video games because, like, this is for me. 7-Eleven's for me. Now, when we had GPA going in 2021, Makuga, Riley, and I, and Eric Bass, we were across the street from my favorite 7-Eleven, and the owner, because it's individually owned, loved us, and we'd come by Twisted Teas and Arnold Palmer, like, mix, half and half. And he figured out what hey, up in that office up there, we do YouTube content. He was like, but he never gave it for free. But then we backed off because we realized we'd have to give up our location because it was very specific to him. 7-Eleven wasn't going to sponsor us. We wanted him to sponsor us. But and one day we had someone show up. I got a DM from someone, like a fan, I'd say fan, not a friend, but like someone I had talked to and had met and looked him in the eye. And he DM'd me one day and was like, "Hey, I'm across from your office." And it was like, he was out of state. How'd you come find us? It was so we backed off 7-Eleven.
Yeah. If you guys want to find my location, you're more than welcome to come. The boredom will kill you once you get over here. I'm not intimidated. Matty Gunner says this episode brought to you by goth women. I mean, look. I'm nothing if not predictable and simple. Ken and I watch Rhea Ripley matches and entrances. It's like we're simple guys.
Simple guys. First of all, so Kingsburg House says Ken got scared. That's not correct. I got kind of spooked. It's unnerving. We had this happen at Collider a couple times. One day, just some dude showed up and was sitting in the production studio, walked in, sat down, and was like, didn't say a word. And everyone's like, and so they called us from the other office. We know, I still had like my handcuffs and my ass baton in my bag at the time. So I was like, I don't know. So I put them in my back pocket and walked in. And he was just a fan who came over from London. And our address was listed on Google because, Complex Media was like, no, we're a business. You must list your address. Yeah. He just walked in the studio. We could have killed him, Cal, but it was unnerving. It was unnerving.
Yeah. Ken locked in like when John Wick started smashing the concrete to get his gear out. Yeah. I wanted to bring up this comment from Dan. Said, I saw Alden crashing out on Blue Sky when someone said he had a positive attitude. So this was Tully Quinn. I sometimes do Ask Me Anythings when I'm bored and I'm working. Right. And Tully asked, how do I maintain such a positive and like joyous attitude or something like that? Which baffled me as a question. Sure. Not that it was a bad question from Tully, but it was just like, oh, this is how people perceive me. And so it's like, I think, and you can tell me, you know me very well. I think that I am pretty close, probably as close as you can get to what you see is what you get online and in person. Like, I think the consistency is extremely strong. Whereas like some people, many of whom we know and have worked with, and this is not a bad thing. It can be, but it's not good or bad.
Yeah, it's not always a bad thing. Yeah.
There's a persona, and sometimes that's for reasons. Or, even they're going by their screen name or whatever. But don't
get me started. Don't get me started on that guy.
That's not the guy I was thinking of. I was thinking of a different guy. But there are a lot of guys out there, grown ass men that are.
There's two. There's two. You probably think of it's a pick'em. It's a pick'em.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk after. But we should start charging people for the Anytime Uncensored, where we do an extra 30 minutes naming names. So basically,
is this our $79.99 a month LinkedIn premium offer?
Yes, for just the low price of not $80, $79.99. You can get all of our unfiltered shit talk. And it was like, why are you so joyous? And from Tully's point of view, with clarification, it was like, well, your movie and television like thoughts and reviews, I guess, on Letterboxd. I don't actually write reviews anywhere. I think people see that I have lots of thoughts about something and they're like, he writes reviews. And it's like, no, I just am verbose. Nobody pays me. I'm not a critic. But so I understood what he meant, but like the thing is like, this is curated. Like I don't go on Blue Sky or anywhere to talk about things I don't like. And like I'm going on there to, which too many of you do, not people specifically in these comments right now, but in general, like you're like, this movie sucked. It's like, you will never find me doing that. It is a waste of my time. It is just as hard to make a bad thing as it is to make a good thing. I don't like doing that. I used to, for sure. Because I was a young white passing guy on the internet. So it's like, I had my phase. I remember being on MySpace and writing like about how much Twilight sucked and things like that, forgetting, having no concept of what it was doing for other people's joy and for literacy and for all these things. So it's like, I've grown up. I did that. I've gotten out of it. I'm not going to but you ask me, it's not a secret what I don't like. And I'm angry about all types of shit. And so I had to say Tully, I'm like, dude, I wake up with like despair. Like it's hard for me to move. I wake up like viscerally upset all the time.
You're about to, and your eyes just open up.
I wake up and my first thought is, why? Like, why didn't they just take me?
Are we here?
100%. So it's like, I did have a little bit of a crash out, but also the positivity in it was, it does not come from me. I think a lot of people are joy generators. Some of them are here in this chat. Jared from the Nerd Academy podcast is a joy generator. That guy functions on like, the
Scotty
laughter.
J-Ro is a joy generator.
Little Christmas elves and Scotty, the little, he's like a crawfish boil in his heart. Like he's just perfectly happy all the time. I am not that. I am a joy siphoner. I have to go find it. I have to go get it. I have to be around these people.
That makes sense.
I don't know if you have that too. Like I can't be like in my house, like I'm choosing happiness today. I'm not that guy. I have to go get it.
No, I'm a little dark and dreary and absolutely. And I don't, there's a lot of that. I'm grumpy and grouchy and there's a lot I can easily, I've learned too. Like when Schmoes started, I'm not talking about 2012 digital Schmoes, but when Schmoes started as like a website and 2007, and they were doing reviews on that new thing, YouTube. And I was like, but YouTube, we should write articles on this website. And mine were all like 5 reasons the G.I. Joe movie sucked ass. Like, that's what you felt you did. And you just like, you either stay in that or you realize that it's kind of destructive, pointless, mean-spirited, unneeded. Not that things are perfect. There's ways to express, And so I can easily, I always say, people don't realize like, I was so close to be, I would have been an angry car guy on the internet talking about Star Wars. So close to it. And then something started to switch in 2014. Even after Jedi Alliance started, I still had that tendency to be snarky or just be like, oh, what's Captain Phasma? That sounds stupid. And working with Scrimshaw and the prequels, but even some of our Jedi Alliance audience being the first to tell me in 2014, hey man, prequels are ours, man. Quit crapping on them. Even though I secretly liked them and I just felt that's what you did. That's what we were doing as entertainers. So I'm with you. I have to choose, as they say in Trainspotting, choose life.
You have to. I mean, like it's just like it also. This is where like a little bit of like ego kicks in, just about like what like we do and how we approach things. And like I'm not going to speak for Force Center, of course, but like I would throw you guys into this, where it's like what they do is easy, what we do is hard, and I think people forget that. Like. They've got the money, they've got the numbers and everything, and they've got their shitty little fucking lightsabers and their 40,000 views on every little thought that they have, and they've got whatever it is, Star Wars or not Star Wars, even just posting on Blue Sky, or previously Twitter, like the shitty things always take off. Like it is easy to go on there and be like, what are they even doing? It doesn't even make sense. That's easy. To do what we do is difficult. It actually takes work. It takes parsing, like to disagree in healthy ways, to go in. I mean, like you guys have been like, pretty upfront about it. Like you guys just did a Star Wars show with Ahsoka last year that like two out of three of you didn't really care for that much, and you still navigated through 8 weeks of material on it.
Well, no, well, I want to be honest. The strikes are happening. We didn't cover it.
But you guys didn't you do it after, or
no,
not
episodic? We didn't do it after. No, we did overall stuff. Yeah,
overall, okay.
Yeah, but we would have done it. We would have found the way.
Still, you would have. And it's like, yeah, whether it's Star Wars or not, it's like, if I'm going on there to Blue Sky and I'm posting a thought and it's like really, really positive, that was in spite of the rest of the day. Guarantee you.
Yeah.
And so it made me realize, like, am I not being candid enough? Like, do people really want an even more candid Alden? Because like it's already gotten to some bad places.
Nah, you're good. Choose life, man. No, hit it. And you know, it isn't a pat on the back. It's part of my current frustration of what you said. It's what Yoda says, right? It all comes back to Star Wars. Dark side is easier, quicker, more seductive, absolutely easy. And yeah, it's funny, you know, even on the blathering, I find if I go on the show and I say In and Out sucks, boom, comments light up. We get a conversation, and it can be fun. But when you're doing that about other things, I think it's a little dangerous and destructive.
It's true, and it's like, look, I'll get a little bit candid with an easy example. It's one that people could figure out very easily just by scanning my social media for 2 seconds. I really, really, really personally dislike the previous iteration of the DC stuff, the DC EU, as it were, from Man of Steel to Muschietti's Flash movie. I have a lot of like ideological, like really serious problems with those movies. And there was a time when I might have gone online and been like, Zack Snyder, this, that, whatever. Like, and you know, maybe I'll save some of that for the group chats nowadays, but like, I really, really don't want to do that out there, because the world that we are bemoaning, that we just bemoaned with the job market, like that is an element of the anti-art, give it all away, gut everything, you know, automate everything, hand it all to the corpse. Like, it's all happening, and it's affecting Zack Snyder too. Like, he's got millions and he doesn't need me to defend him. It's not that, but it's just like, if you're waking up and you're like, I want to live my life as an artist, this time fucking sucks for you. So it's like, he's on my side. I'm on his side right now. And that's important, I think, to acknowledge, at least in some way.
No.
So that's a whole thing.
Look, you're a happy person, and I just appreciate it.
That's not to say that I don't have like things that I like, just like have unrepentant joy about, for sure. I mean, like Skeleton Crew was one of them. Like,
oh god, yeah, absolutely.
Skeleton Crew. Look, while we're here, this is not a Star Wars show, but just like while we're here, incredible. Like some of the most fun I've had in television, maybe just in general, in Star Wars for sure. Texting you every Tuesday, knowing that we have both like just like we always were time synced. So I could be like, that was incredible. You'd be like, I loved it. I cried. Oh, I cried too. Like the back and forth, like it felt like being in the comic book store with your friends. You know, it just felt so good.
Yeah, and it like always, it ain't about. I loved so much of Acolyte. There's actually parts of Ahsoka I really love. I want to be clear about it. It's just some things, but there's just something special about the show that it's completely explainable but unexplainable. And I told you the story off air about the person who had told me after seeing it early on in the process, was like telling a bunch of us at dinner, like, it's just the best thing they've done in terms of TV. And everyone's like, what? Really? Why? How? Even better than Andor? And he's like, yeah. I can't explain it. It's just like, it's like Goonies. It's just fun. It was just, and I have that. That's exactly, after 8 weeks of dissecting it on Force Center, my why do you like it? I'm like, because I do. It's just special. It hit the feels.
Yeah, and it's like I can wax poetic about like what it means and what I like and all that, but at the end of the day, it was so complete. It felt like a good book. Highly recommend it to everybody that hasn't seen it yet. I know not everybody shows up in our comments and is like a Star Wars guy, so it's like important to remember that too. If you're like, hey, what is Star Wars about? They're always fucking talking about it. This actually would be a great place for you to start.
Great place.
Definitely check it out. Place. And I'm not going to rant too hard about this, but I will say I think nerds have been a little bit silly, as they always are, even the ones that love it, with like the way that they've embraced it. Like they can't. I'm watching people in real time struggle with like the fact that it was silly, pulpy camp, and like in a lot of ways had a lot of heart, made us fucking cry. But like the whole like, if Andor is the brains of the operation, then this is the heart. And it's just like, just say you liked it, man. Just say you liked it. It's like when somebody in like a serious literature circle doesn't want to admit that like one of their favorite books is The Hobbit. They're like, well, I really like War and Peace. And it's just like, man, come on, man. Just like, that actually is like one of the times that I really cheered for Zack Snyder, is that he did Letterboxd 4 favorite movies. And he went on a little tangent where he was like, look, I know that some of my peers come on here and they want to pick like Tarkovsky and everything. He's like, but let's be real. He's like, let's be real. He's like, I'm talking Star Wars. I'm talking all that jazz. Like he just like hit these banger movies.
I'm with. That's been my whole, that's been my whole career in digital entertainment. Like, Ken, what's the greatest movie of all time? Oh, Young Guns 2. Like,
they're like, you're supposed to choose a woman under the influence, Ken. Which is not a knock on that movie. But
have you seen Citizen Kane? I saw 5 minutes, but let me tell you about Doc Scurlock and Young Guns 2. Like,
for sure.
I'm a dummy.
Okay, so other things that I jotted down.
That was the
end of the LinkedIn section.
Okay.
The LinkedIn section is complete. In short, the price is ridiculous and we need to fix the job market.
Yes.
Who probably agrees we need to fix the job market? Joseph Robinette Biden, who in his farewell address decided that he was going to list a bunch of problems that were not mentioned by him or by Kamala Harris in her campaign, because they were busy listing things like crypto assets as a priority. And on the way out, this man was like, yeah, by the way, we're an oligarchy. It's not good, Jack. And that was it. Like the fact that he waited this whole time blew my mind. And I know that like the farewell address is also supposed to set a forward tone. Like I get it, but like
it was just like industrial complex speech.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. But it's buddy, why wouldn't you give these notes to the person you wanted to be your successor? Why?
Or just
in the farewell? Because it's not gonna happen now. It's not gonna happen now. He's like,
Young Guns too.
I pardon my
more
son.
Billy. Yeah,
not no more.
Not no more Billy.
By the way, that's crazy.
Yeah. Look, I have been on the I don't want to say defense. I've just been in. I have a different generation perspective on a lot of things, and just like. I think there's a lot of good done. Like I think that would have been the administration to fight eventually LinkedIn. Like and it's gone. But I will tell you, Alden, I got nothing. I don't
really have anything either. Like,
but I was just like, oh, all right. Well, that would have been good to hear 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's like it's just good to know you noticed, I guess. But it's like I even said I was like, we should make Bidening a thing. Like at the end of a contract or at the end of a job. Just say, and this is what I could have done. Would have made it a lot better.
Yeah, I saw you post that. It's good. And it's very funny, by the way. That's a good bit. You should write a bit about that. Yeah, and when I say I got nothing, I mean, like I've even come on here and just be like, look, there's some things that the administration have done that history is going to judge them as good on, and I've been that guy. Even you and I was like, I don't know. I think maybe he should be the one to run. And I sat there and just was like, all right, we're done.
And to be clear, just what I'm referring to for people that maybe didn't see, this is the sum up from I don't know how to pronounce it. If it's Acyn or Acyn or it's ACYN. They're on all the social media platforms. It's a person, not an organization. I just don't know. How to pronounce
I've seen them. Yeah.
And it's an end to dark money. Awesome. 18-year limit on SCOTUS judges and ethics reform. Great. Ban on stock trading in Congress. Awesome. Amending the Constitution to say no president is immune from crimes. These are banger things that would have been awesome to do, particularly that last one after the insurrection. Fantastic. But evidently, his list was pardon my son, and then there was like yogurt over the rest of the paper. And so he just he had to, I had to rewrite it. It took some time. Got lost in the Amazon. Then I came back.
Disappeared in the forest.
It's like these last these lame duck days have been some of the most baffling.
Yeah, Merrick Garland history. I think we'll look on him kind of.
Merrick Garland being like, we should release that. And then we read it and it was, we could have done this.
Yeah. I mean, I got nothing against Jack. What's his name? Jack Smith. It's the most benign name for someone who was trying to. It was frustrating to see him giving it up. I'm tagging out. But it was a little bit of the Steve Martin character in The Simpsons as the waste management manager who comes back when they're like, "Please return," after Homer messes up, and he's like, "You've all done this to yourself. You're screwed. Goodbye." That's my vibe with Smith right now, where he's like, "Here you go.
Yeah,
would have won. Bye."
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We got went to Champs 2005. He couldn't do that because he would lose out on big donors. Yeah, obviously, for sure.
Yeah,
Jared, absolutely. The Democrats shouldn't be allowed to live down what's happened here. It's going to be really interesting because I feel, at least in my lifetime, more so than ever, confidence in them is low, and I wonder if there's going to be a splinter of some kind.
If anything, maybe that's I don't want to say it's a good thing. I hate, we have to learn lessons and tragedies. Like in LA this week, everyone's been nice and helpful, and that's going to last for 4 more days, and that's tragic. And it's tragic that we have to go through these things to remind ourselves of our connection and empathy for others. This could be the big loss that maybe, but I don't have faith in that. Yeah.
Like I was watching
the system rolls on.
I was watching Bernie Sanders.
Heard of him?
Twitch with Hassan Piker, and he did like a 35-minute interview there. And I said to some of my friends in a group chat that we're in, how weird and funny, but also cool it is that like there are black and white photos of Bernie Sanders getting arrested in the civil rights movement with protesters doing sit-ins and anti-war and marching with Dr. King and all these things. And now here he is like, hit the link. I'm going to be on Twitch. Like he has truly endured the eras. It's like when there are people whose lives Rosa Parks is the one that I bring up all the time because it's the funniest. Like Rosa Parks was alive for the prequel trilogy, the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy, and the first 2 Shreks.
Yeah,
she could have seen all of them.
Well, which is I always joke that I specifically grew up in a generation that saw pictures of Martin Luther King in black and white, and we all went and we're all kind of told, "Hey, racism was solved." Yeah. It's like 8 years before I was born.
Yeah, and that's part of it too. Like Cameron Stewart brings up here, a lot of them are presented as such when they maybe could be color to add a layer of history to push it back in your mind. I said that to my mom too. My mom, I was like, "Mom, you were 2 years old, and they were just then getting rid of quote unquote colored water fountains and like other such things. Like you were there, you were present, physically. So it's wild. But in that." They talked a little bit about the potential for a splinter and everything, and Bernie plays the David Mackay.
She used to tell everyone, "You're an all-star, get your game on." She used to tell people that. Yeah,
at that age it was really the years to start coming, and they don't stop coming for sure. And you could tell that there is that frustration, and I think from a lot of people, they mentioned in that interview, like Chris Murphy, starting to bring up the fact that like maybe a populist left approach is needed, and it's like I mean
at this point, throw it on the field in a way we haven't done before.
Eli from In a Galaxy also brought up a Biden thing, saying that the ERA is law. Like that was Biden today. It's the law of the land, Jack. And it's but like you understand that doesn't actually do it. Like I'm glad you supported it. It's good to have a president speaking for it, but like you're not going to be the president soon. And it's like, the worst possible person for that amendment is coming.
Yes, it's coming. I wish we were, if we had 18 more subscribers, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If we had 18 more, we could turn on super chats, and then we make this thing where we pay for your Bernie. But can you do what Charlie has asked? Alden, can you say?
Oh, sure.
Can I just say a big thank you to Big Juicy MILF 69 for the donation as Bernie? Can you do that?
Yeah, sure. You gotta hit the Bernie.
You gotta get ready.
You gotta hit the posture. Well, hold on. Before I continue, I just want to address one of the comments here. This is really big. This is what I'm talking about, the working class contributing to new media. I want to say big thank you to Big Juicy MILF 69, my goodness, for the donation. Thank you so much. Hard work. Right there, that donation, $10. That is $2 and some change more than the federal minimum. I can't. You could do this bit forever. Like, because Bernie has a way of like, you could ask Bernie, like, Bernie, what's your favorite pizza topping? And he would answer it, but then be like, And you used to be able to get that for a reasonable price.
Reasonable. You're doing great. You should again try out for that skit show that they got on Saturdays in 30 Rock. You should package it up. I can help you get your character demo ready.
Get a balding prosthetic.
If we were in radio, meaning no cameras, and we were in 1999, that would be a reoccurring bit. Because when I was coming up, I was still the morning show producer / news guy, so I wasn't the lead. I used to do essentially a shitty version of Norm Macdonald's Bob Dole, and I'd like call in, hey, let me tell you that Bob Dole says like it wasn't great, but it was like a reoccurring bit. I would make that a reoccurring bit. Sports and weather with Bernie.
Yeah, we did some when I was so like in Florida, it's legal. I'm not advocating for this. I'm just stating a fact. Yeah. It is legal to kill iguanas in humane ways because they're invasive. And it's also scarily and creepily legal to display a dead iguana in effigy to scare the other ones away. That's a fun fact for you. And so during that time, I would step into a different studio and call in and do like Steve Irwin-y type reports about iguanas and all that.
But see, I'd say, God, we could still do that. We could find a way. We take audio calls because oh my God, my first break in radio, I was just an intern, and then they needed some callers to generate. Hey, can you be a caller? I'll take your call. So I just, without them asking me, I just acted like a character from kind of the backwoods of our town and up in Napoma, which is more agriculture. At the time was less developed. And I just was like, hey man, how you doing? Oh my God, my sheep are biting me. I did this, hacky thing. But like my boss was like, you're on it. You're hired. You're no longer an intern.
Yeah.
So we got it.
That's how you used to get jobs. That's how you used to get jobs.
You'd look them in the eye.
You used to be able to just do a silly voice and get a job, feed a family. And now I can't remember if this was in a group chat that we did or maybe on a Star Wars podcast. I can't remember, but I used to, and I still laugh thinking about like if Bernie Sanders was just like transposed into Star Wars, like as a senator, and like how angry he would be at the fact that the Trade Federation has a pod in the senatorial chamber.
Oh, it'd be the best if Bernie was fighting that.
Gunray is an oligarch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you made me laugh. Bernie, you brought joy. See, you're a positive person, Alden. You brought joy.
The president of Hollywood. That's a great bit. That's one of my favorite hater characters there. Where were we going? Where was I going with this?
You know what? I had we had no real plan. You did some light producing. But like, the inauguration's coming on Monday. All hell will break loose. Our only hope is that some sort of normalcy is retained because they're so effed up they can't get things done. But we can't rely on that. It's a dark timeline, and we'll find a way to talk about it here. We'll find a way to resist. But you and I talked last week of just like also not going to lose our souls. We all need to keep each other healthy and happy too if we're going to continue the fight. So we'll find ways to do it. But yeah, there's a little bit of I don't know, last day of school, but it's not a fun graduation.
Not at all.
Just like
not at all.
Oh, here we go.
I mentioned it earlier, but on the subject of the inauguration, the Carrie Underwood controversy I wanted to talk about because it's
you had a list of in the time we have remaining, you have a list of people you want to besmirch.
Yeah, first person I want to besmirch is Carrie Underwood because it's just like not because I'm surprised. This is the double reaction is this.
Yeah,
she's gonna speak at this She's gonna sing at this inauguration. And I was an American Idol viewer. I don't know if you were.
I was season 1.
I think I did the first like 8 or 9.
Yeah. I was season 1 when Seacrest and Brian Dunkelman were co-hosting, and I used to do stand-up with Dunkelman. I actually did stand-up with him last year. He had a great bit about how he turned down the second season of the show because he just felt it was really cruel. They were pulling this pain out of these kids trying for their dreams. Wow. And so he pulled out, and he's like, I work at whatever horrible job, and Seacrest is sleeping on piles of money and cocaine. Like, it was a great bit about
so funny because I didn't know he did stand-up, and I wrote a stand-up bit when I did stand-up for the first time in high school about the legacy of Brian Dunkelman, and I didn't use it because I thought no one in my age group was going to know who he was.
I was just
like,
ago.
Everybody focuses on like the fifth Beatle, but no one talks about Brian Dunkelman.
He and Seacrest,
But yeah, so first of all, Kingsport Cal, yes, she did sing Before He Cheats, and that is part of the comedy here. Her biggest song about a man about to be unfaithful and how she destroys his car before he cheats. So, here we are now. she's going to go and bootlick for a rapist insurrectionist with 34 guilty verdicts. Whatever. But it was the shock and like, how could she? What could she? What is she's ruining her? I don't know what else needs to happen for people to understand that there are people in this country, historically too. I remember learning about this in like college level English classes when you read old literature, old American literature, of like, there are people that when they have multiple identities, in this case, white and woman, they will choose whiteness over the other aspects of their identity all the time. All the time. And we saw that in 16, we saw that in 20, and we saw that now in the last one of white women predominantly going over there. It doesn't matter what amount of evidence you put out. It doesn't matter if Stormy Daniels confirms it. It doesn't matter if the money confirms it. It doesn't matter
or the law
if
or the court confirms
the law,
it.
the courts. Like now we have, exactly. Like we literally have the civil suit, a jury of his peers that his lawyers have to approve of, because that's how the jury selection works. So there's no shenanigans. He is a rapist. He is a monster. These are not opinions. They're facts. And white women, predominantly, not all, will still go that way. And it's been amazing to see people shocked that like a white woman in country is ready to sing in the name of unity. I wonder if she would have taken the gig had it gone the other way. But it's like, no, she is the rule. The only exception, not the only, but the most major exception is Dolly. They are not all Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton being a progressive in that world for as long as she has been, and being this maternal figure for queer people and for marginalized communities, and like standing up for what she has, is so rare. And that's why she is special. This is what they are. We need to start acknowledging this is what it is. Country. I've never known cool country, Ken. There are memes about this, but like 9/11 changed country.
Look, you're right. It's like my battle with evangelicals. 82% of them voted for this voted for the Antichrist you've been warning me about, or hey, just the asshole you've been telling me not to become. So but I want, there's the 18%. Ryan Bingham, who has since gone on to, I think a lot of people now know him from one of those Tyler Sheridan shows. He is a very progressive country alt rocker. So they exist. But to your point overall, yes, and I agree. Yeah. And this is not new. And I don't know I don't know what it means, but like I even posted something, I think yesterday or something on Blue Sky, of just like, I was watching the Hesketh confirmation hearings, and I got, that idiot Mark Wayne Mullen and all these, one of the Republican, introducing woke, this is the military's woke, just like they're comedy sketches. But like, I was like, I wanted to post, Skeet, whatever, about how horrible Hesketh is. But I realized that's why they love him. That's why they bought the ticket.
Yes.
And I don't know how, I no longer know how to combat that, even in my own folks, even in my own friends and family who are on that side. Like that is part of the divide for me. It's just, I don't know what to say anymore, and of course someone like Underwood and, that now they have a permission structure to just lean into it, like you said.
Yeah. And it's, but I want to, by the way, shout out, I love this comment from Adam Fraser. Adam Fraser, hello, sir. Dolly is the Mother Teresa of Appalachia. I love that. Kingsport Cal, a saint and always has been.
Casey Musgraves.
Liv is here. Yeah, Casey Musgraves. I wanted to shout that out. I have not given her due time. I've only heard a couple tracks here and there. I need to do the deep dive on her. I know people really like her a lot.
Yeah, you were speaking in generalities, which is
for sure
fine and also dangerous. We get it. Yeah, no, but there's a lot of good examples. Yeah,
the meme I always go back to is like, it's those Doge like Shiba Inu memes, and like you get the really big buff one that's like pre 9/11 country, and it's like, I shot a lawman with his own gun and won an immortal horse in a poker game with Satan. And then after 9/11, it's, if you don't stand for the red, white, and blue, I'm gonna piss myself. Like they became so cowardly and fake. And as I don't need to tell you this, being a music guy, they were turning on their own. They were doing a culling. Yeah. I mean, the chicks were crucified for saying normal things.
But I was, and I didn't listen to them, but I was part of that. Remember, because of my background.
Sure.
And it's, you don't dig into it. You just have how dare the French, let's call them freedom fries. And I think that once you start breaking from that, and it's like, how dare the chicks, the Dixie chicks talk about this great country. Like once you break free from that, it's just all so dangerously stupid.
Yeah,
So
it was the yeah, they fancied themselves outlaws who worship the police state. It's true. Speaking of, by the way, of like post 9/11, let's make everything rah rah USA. I don't know if you have a favorite example of that, but I definitely do.
What? Tell me.
In Marvel Comics in the 2000s, and it extended into the 2010s, they did a line called Ultimate Comics, which was just the alternate take on the universe, modernized. Right. That's where Nick Fury being a black man comes from, like some changes that have stuck, and it's had a huge impact. Miles Morales Spider-Man comes from that. And early in there, Captain America was a dick, and at one point post 9/11, he like was beating the shit out of somebody, and he points to the A on his helmet mask, and he's like, "Do you think that this A stands for France?" And I think about that panel. I think about that panel once a week.
So, yeah, the French thing is interesting because I'm talking about the French because the French surrender monkeys, I think, is the Monty Python line and everything, and they're kind of there's this weird like historic thing with that. And I used to work with a World War II veteran when I was in security. I'm pretty sure he's passed away, or if not, he's like 100. But he was like a 2-time Purple Hearter, and even though he was like, one of them was for action at Iwo Jima, the other one I slipped on some coral reef because I went too far out and disobeyed an order on my brake, and I tried to turn that one down. But he was great. But he also was a part of that generation and had some really, those hardwired thoughts we had to try to catch from him. But he told a story of like being in camp and the French soldiers like leaving, and that's how kind of we got lost that fight. And so it was just kind of this thing that's passed on. And then I thought I was a fan of history, but really it wasn't. And then like my former girlfriend's dad, one time I made a joke about the French and their surrendering. He was like, we wouldn't have won the revolution if not for the French.
Right.
So maybe comment that. And then you look through it, and then I'm really obsessed with the French resistance during World War II and all the stuff. I just love what you're talking about. It's just that's the surface. And then you dig in. That's why it's important. History is important.
To this day,
education's important.
Literally, on the last episode of this show, we talked about Jean-Marie Le Pen finally dying and how they took to the streets. You were there. Wasn't it the after celebration? You and Grace went over to France.
Yeah. They were rioting,
They were talking about, because of the garbage men and the unions, and they were all on strike.
It was the raising of the retirement age.
Yeah,
or whatever that was. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we heard him.
We
heard
they have it in
our
them.
Hotel. Yeah.
We don't. So it's like the audacity of us to make fun of them for it. Is pretty hilarious. Yeah. Blame the British for this. Blame Charlie Ashby for sure. That's always just a really good strategy. But yeah, what a time. So we talked about Carrie Underwood. She's a clown. They're all clowns. His new little Hollywood commission of Stallone and Voight.
Oh, it's amazing.
And Gibson that are going to be amazing. Like, you guys have, first of all, 2 of you are barely ever hired. So it's like, you can't influence anything if you're not hired.
Yeah.
And Stallone, you were in the best
True
place
colors,
of the 3, but it's like, yeah, dude, we can move on without you real easy.
He has a lot of fans, and there's a lot to, I think, I was going to say celebrate, but that's probably not true. But there's a lot of what he's done and how he did a lot of it and how he succeeded. But also, there's a lot of things there. I think a lot of people have heard the Work the Shaft story. There's a lot of problems, but Stallone's a prime example of the permission structure that's been granted to these folks now.
For sure.
The unmasking. It's correct.
For sure.
But yeah, I can't wait till they start giving. What are they going to do? Are they going to start going to movie sets and saying you can't do that?
I think that they, so far, it seems like their whole thing is to be there, do their thing, and report back to him so he can strategize on how to get the business back in the States. Like he's like, which I don't even think people on the surface would disagree with, especially right now in LA. Like, yeah, bring the business back to LA. But like, do we think that this dumb fuck is going to be able to do that? No. So it's like,
no, there's definitely some issues. Yeah, no. Let's be clear about that. Yeah, there's definitely some problems. But but that it's to me everything in a nutshell of the it's comical, but it's tragic because it's so real. But yeah, that damn woke Hollywood, and that'll be true here. Actors mostly are progressive. The crews aren't.
Studios for sure not.
Yeah. If you drive through Simi Valley, where most like union crew people from films, you'll see some flags you don't want to see. So it's a weird mix, and there's a lot more Stallones than there aren't in many ways.
Can I bring up a movie topic real quick? That's not David Lynch. I want to end with David Lynch. This is something that is close to your heart, and I had it here in the notes. I wrote something that I'm not going to do, which it just says, "We are too nice on Blue Sky. We need to spice it up." I decided I'm not going to do that because the answer is very simple. I need to be the one to spice it up. I need to be the change that I want to see in the world.
Wait a minute. So we don't need to dive into it. You're saying, because I know what you mean. Blue Sky became post-election this big haven for a lot of people. Now I'm still enjoying it. But you just want to rough it up a little bit.
I just think that it still has, the way I described it, it still has the air of a parent-teacher conference. Because when we were all doing the influx and the big exodus coming over, there was a lot from every level, authors, filmmakers, whatever, screenwriters, a lot of, no, we don't do that here. You mute and you move on. We don't do that here. That's not what we do here. Use the starter packs. Oh, I can make you one. Oh, do this. And it was just like, is this a class? Like, it kind of had that. And that has now gotten to the point where it's like, I feel like, and not in the, I can't say anything. Like, I'm not trying to be that guy, of course. I know I can say whatever I want. But there is an air of like, people will throw out these like weird takes and like, forget me. I don't see any like, well, actually, I think this, because everybody's like, I guess I'll just mute. And like, it's becoming like everyone's individual blog in a way.
I don't disagree with you. I think I saw someone post about this, but they were maybe in the opposite side of what you're saying. Of just like, nope. The post was like, nope, we're not going to do this. We're not going to argue on here, mute, block, and delete. And you're talking about a cultural water cooler, an exchange of ideas that might have been present earlier. I think that got lost. I think, and I'm guilty of just like, I don't care if I post I like oranges, and you'd say, what about apples? That thing that goes around every now and then. I understand that sentiment, but when the first week I posted something on Blue Sky that was the Trump, all of them on the plane eating McDonald's, and Mike Johnson and Kennedy and everything, and someone quote tweeted me without tag, who didn't know me, just was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. I don't want to see these people. And it's like, get the fuck out. I didn't ask you to do anything. Grow up. And that's where my old aggressive side comes out.
Especially because it's like, if then mute. Why didn't they mute you?
Yeah, this ain't for you. Like get with it. So I agree with that. But I just think there's
a little bit of like,
I'm enjoying for what it is. So I don't disagree with you. I'm just like, eventually it will get there. Don't worry.
I think we will. I don't ever want to be, because there are two things I hate, which is one, we can't say anything. That's never true. And the other one is the let people dislike things. Just let me dislike it. Like, they act like there's thought police.
I
don't like that either. But there's just a little bit of like, if somebody says, if someone is just like innocently like, I didn't really care for this, and I respond like, oh, you're crazy, I loved it, I'm afraid that it'll just be like I can't express my, like, there's such an eggshells vibe on there. It's like, I don't know if we'll ever get 2013 to 17 Twitter back ever.
But I think it's because of that. I think like, again, someone who pulled up. You made a that first week I was on Blue Sky posting it a lot, and then I've kind of retreated to my own style. You were joking. You're like, I haven't seen you this active on social media since like before I knew you exist. Like ever. I had pulled out by 2018, 2017, 2019 because of Collider, because of Jedi Council, because of comments. I just I didn't give a crap what you thought about anything, good or bad. I didn't want to share my opinion. I didn't want to hear yours. So I think Blue Sky's a little bit of reaction to that. And even like what you're talking about, 2013, 2017 Twitter, I didn't enjoy it much either. Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of I wish it was a MySpace blog. I wish it was just, let me post a song. Do you like this? No, like if I guess I get defensive. Like if I post like U2 saved my life. Literally, like the words of music of Bono and Edge and all those guys, like I was ready to kill myself. And so the only salvation I found was in their music for a period of my dark years. So you can't take that away from me. But if I post I love U2 and someone comes in, that shitty old dad band that put an album on iTunes, like, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear you. And I think, but this
is actually a perfect example. Let's posit that this happened on Blue Sky. Okay. Ken does a skeet about how much he loves Joshua Tree or something. My U2 knowledge is very surface. So let's say I love this song from U2. And someone says, oh, the shitty dad rock, whatever, blah blah blah, ha ha ha. They put it on the iPhone or whatever the fuck they did.
Right.
Then the expectation is for you to not fire back, and I don't like that. I would like it better.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You should be allowed to say, hey,
what I just
first
said.
of all, fuck off. Second of all, this means a lot to me for these reasons. But there is a like, we don't do that, Ken. We don't respond if they want to shit on you. We don't do that. And it's like I've had some posts that like, and I've done it so far. I have kept it totally clean and easy and simple and peaceful the entire time I've been on there. But I've had some takes that are just like, and some tweets, some of them are just like flat out rude. And I've had this thought in my mind of like, well, I don't want to be the one that starts the problem on Blue Sky.
Yeah, I get you.
And so, but it's like, no, if you are going to be a little shit on an adult platform, you should be able to receive. That's even just simple.
You are Alden Little Shit Diaz, as you've said yourself.
Correct.
All right,
and I also acknowledge 894M. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it.
But I'm glad you did. I'm glad we did. You said some things that clarified your stance for me better where I understand it, because I wasn't on the opposite side of you. I understand, because you're exactly saying, I get it now. But before that, I was a little bit more of like, I don't care what you think of the word cameo. Like, I don't care. Yeah. You're wrong, but I don't care. But yes.
But if somebody shows up on my post
to shoot back,
that's a meaningless cameo.
Yeah.
If the burden is on me to not then say you don't know what the word means.
Yeah. Right.
You don't.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I think that's
frustrates.
That's interesting.
Anyway,
that's interesting.
The movie thing that I was going to bring up. Is very simple.
Oh crap! I got to run soon. So wrap this up. Hit where you want to go. Rapid fire.
All right, so rapid fire on this, and then we'll do David Lynch. Rapid fire is very simply, you all need to cut the shit with Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny. I'm sick of it. I have not played this new game yet, and I know I've mentioned this a little bit before. I even mentioned it on Blue Sky. Of the like, it's being used as this is the fourth one we deserved. This redeemed it. This is the real continuation. I saw an article and I meant to jot down the guy's name and I forgot to. And, it's probably better that way because I was going to call out the publication and the writer. It was nice to see this was the first line of the article. Nice to see an Indiana Jones story clearly created by people that don't hate the character. And I'm like, oh, so Harrison Ford, who personally advocated for Mangold to get that job, Spielberg, who watched Dial and turned to Mangold and said, quote, I thought I was the only one that knew how to make one of these. Spielberg and George, who made Crystal, like, you're going to tell me that they don't understand the character? I would Thanos snap that game out of fucking existence right now. Without a second's thought. The 5 Indiana Jones movies that are there are wonderful. And there is nothing in 4 or 5 that is any more outlandish than anything that happens in those first 3. Your Honor, I rest my case, or else we're going to be here all day.
I agree. I agree. And there's things in 4 that I look at and go, I get it. And I think that should have been a Mangold film. Like Spielberg, I think, did one too many and had a different thing going on in his career. But those are different conversation points than what you're talking about, and versus how much I love Crystal Skull for what it's talking about, 1950s America and all those kind of things. Yeah, Dial of Destiny just moved me, and maybe we all will one day be 82 and we'll move you. Yeah, but your big point that I want to agree with, I get really upset at that when someone does a blanket statement like that, because you have joy for a game, which seems really good. I can't wait to play it when they release it in 2 years on my platform. But then it is that dumb reactionary general take that we all have moved on from, where it's like, great, so you're telling me Harrison Ford doesn't understand this character? Got it. I'm right there with you, and that incites violence in my heart. And it happens with a lot of Star Wars stuff too, where
it does too, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely does.
I mean, back before everybody like arbitrarily decided that they hated Mandalorian because they just have to hate things after it's sat for too long. I remember November 2019 and then December 2019, you had Mando's Rise of Skywalker and everyone being like, well, Mandalorian, this is what new Star Wars should be. Yeah. Funny how that didn't fucking last. But now, this Indiana Jones shit, like, it just drove me insane, partially because the Mangold quotes that went around of him saying, it did kind of hurt that it wasn't well received. I tried to tell an honest story about age and everything. And I tried to talk about an aging hero and the movie makes it a point that he can't do what he used to do. And it pisses me off that he even felt like he had to apologize. It pisses me off. Anyway.
Yeah, no, look, I really liked his comments, and again, there's things to talk about, that not everything is going to work and this and that, but it's just the frustration of those who don't engage on a deeper level, and they win. They win.
Now to bring peace back into my heart, we're going to talk about a special person. We're going to talk about. I should have brought a cigarette. Anyway, David Lynch is gone, allegedly. He might be in like transcendental liminal space. He might have retreated to the lodge. Who knows? But the corporeal Los Angeles resident known as David Lynch has passed. And I will say, I'm not trying to like act like I'm an expert or anything, or I'm not Joseph Scrimshaw, who like that's his number one person. And I know he's probably going to have beautiful things to say about it in the upcoming Force Center. And I'm looking forward to that. He's not like my goat. That would probably be Spielberg, but I was talking about it yesterday with Scotty Jarrow and the guys, but Scotty's particularly from Bombadcast. And I said, I read a lot of anecdotes and a lot of things, and there's some really hilarious stories out there and beautiful videos and all that stuff. The thing that finally made me cry was this video that goes around of him talking to a fan where he's like, "You are a good person. You have good ideas." Like, it's just very simple. And I realized, and I articulated it to Scotty as such, I wish that I was as comfortable being me as he was being him. And I think that that's what I realized is like, wow, there's a handful of people, many of whom are gone. Bowie, Prince, Carrie Fisher, the three who we all lost in 1 year, by the way. David Lynch, these individuals that were just so like these paragons of like, you can be who you are. Not change, because they obviously all had eras and shifts, but you could be eternally like beholden to your truth and never let the times really like make you compromise on certain things. But he had an arc, David Lynch in the 80s, like David Lynch voted for Reagan, and then by the end he voted for Bernie. Like the dude had weird things about him, but he had like this lust for life. And I think, the peace that he wanted, the little things that seem like, oh, what a weirdo, but like going online when you are an Oscar caliber director and doing these LA weather reports, it wasn't about the weather. It wasn't about the weather. It was about the fact that like he saw that we could have a communication tool that was beautiful. And I'm sorry that he had to go with the knowledge in his head that it was about to get worse, because he was very plugged into the times, and he probably knew that things were changing. He used to be on Twitter a lot back when it was still Twitter. And it's a weird time for him to go, especially the week before so much change is about to hit us. But I loved the guy. I thought he was a genius. And I don't know if you have thoughts. I know you're a Straight Story fan, which a lot of people would say is one of his forgotten works.
Yeah, I love saw it in the theater. Well said, man. Actually, no, really well said. Joseph will have some time on Force Center this week to speak on it, because I think he can't wait to hear what he has to say, and he's already posted some great stuff. And I always say I try to own it. Like, I didn't grow up like a Lynch fan. I sometimes I'm a little bit more of a pop song guy than a prog rock guy, meaning like I go sometimes just crack the beer and go to a pub. So Lynch is not easily accessible, right? But I grew up with him. I grew up in the era of Twin Peaks. I knew of the things that had put him on the map, and he was so wonderfully weird in himself. I love what you're saying. I think it's a sign of a true artist, and it's something I've come to appreciate more and more. He might be someone that I do, just in terms of his work, appreciate. But one of my favorite things of yesterday was seeing all the things shared about him, quotes, comments, things from the shows that were of value, things of, I was talking on the blathering of the clip that I didn't see the Fablemans. I think I'm going to watch it now because I loved him as John Ford in that. The thing on the horizon that went around yesterday.
So good.
It's so about what I want in my stand-up now, and when things fail, it's because you put the horizon in the middle, and as an artist, and I think Bowie's a great example of that. When you look at his career and you look the things he said, the stances he took, and just who he was, and he was also a normal guy. Bowie was a dude that put on a Yankee hat, would walk down with a sandwich in New York, and Lynch was a normal guy who also just was
Bob's Big Boy.
A high-end artist.
Darina posted yesterday from the Bob's Big Boy in Burbank that It is in Burbank, right? It's in Burbank. Yeah. That
I could throw a football and hit it. Yeah.
All the flowers and everything that were left outside, and the pictures, and the Horizon thing is beautiful. I mean, it was Spielberg making a film about his origin, casting one of his peers as an influence. So you get that meta weirdness of a filmmaker playing a filmmaker in a filmmaker story. And the beauty of the Horizon is not to say like literally shots with the horizon are bad. Like that's that's the YouTube clickbait ass version of it. But it's like it's saying make a choice. You know, make any choice.
Make a choice. And Adam Fraser got a great comment there. Adam says he's such a genuine person. You can really tell from all the heartfelt messages from his collaborators that he was loved. And Joseph has talked about on Force Center, and I would love if he just did it again. That story, the urban lore Star Wars story of Lucas wanting Lynch to direct Return of the Jedi, and he turns it down. Over the years, that became this like, oh, silly little Ewok Return of the Jedi movie. Of course, David Lynch would turn it down. That's not why he turned it down. He turned it down because after hearing George explain the story, he says, George, this is your story. You should direct it. It's yours. It's your art. That's the purpose and point of what that whole story and that situation was. I got my art. You got yours. And
Lynch has said, like, there was a talk in his older age where he said, you know, the difference between me and George Lucas is that we both are artists that want to make exactly what we want. It's just that millions of people love his and a small amount of people love mine. But like they had that in common. They were peers. Eraserhead and Star Wars are the same year. Like they were both part of that 70s shift. It was just
and there's a reason George
families.
Reason George met with him. Yeah, reason George met with him. Absolutely.
For sure. And I think we're all worse off for having one less person who gets it. I think that's part of the pain is that like, oh, wow, there's one less person who really got it.
Yes.
It's fascinating. Sense. He's a fascinating guy. We could ramble about it for sure. But yeah, everybody just like do anything because he wasn't just like trying to inspire movie makers. Do literally anything. Whittle soap. Anything this weekend that you want to do. And,
make your art. Be yourself.
The last thing that I will say, my closing words for the show, and his words would be, I wish you all blue skies and golden sunshine internally. You're the best.
Thank you, David Lynch. Thank you, buddy. Thanks, everyone listening. You can catch the podcast version on the Knapsack Network if you want to take us with you in your ears. We'll be back next week. I think we'll see where I land job-wise. Thank you for your support, all of you, for Alden, for me, for Lynch, for all the characters screaming in Alden's head. We'll see you next time here on Anytime with Ken and Alden.